Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like crap. I mean it's a cold, but still. And I wasn't too sure about doing the review, but I was like, I watched it, I had so much fun with it, I can't help but to not talk about it. Now, the Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless review, I'm not gonna do tonight because I need to, right after this, I have to go to sleep. Um, yeah. So Justin, we see Justin blackmailing the judge, and they're going back and forth, but ultimately it's like, come on, you know what's up at this point, you know. You know that if you don't do what I say as far as dropping both of my clients' charges, well, you're going to be out of a job. That's just point blank. You're going to be right out of a job. So he leaves. Well, he leaves, and now you got Gwen and Xander practically already celebrating. So they're deciding what they're going to do with the money, going to Tropical Island, and just really happy about getting this whole thing over with. So Justin walks in the room, and Xander's like, all right, so we good, right? Like I can take these off and I can head on out of here, right? Like we good? And Justin's like, no, not exactly. And right behind you see the lady in red, Tran, and Tran is like, yeah, the judge informed me when he first got that proposition by Gwen, that there was something up. So what the judge did was the judge actually recorded him. The judge actually recorded Justin blackmailing him. And Tran has the whole thing. She plays the whole thing in front of all three of them. Now at this point she's like, Gwen, you're going to jail for soliciting. Xander, you're going to jail for a whole bunch of other things. And Justin, I don't really have to sit there and tell you what you're going to jail for, right? Because you know you're going to jail. Just in case you don't know, it's for blackmail. Yeah, you're going to jail for blackmail. I can't believe, I'll talk to you later on. At this point, she has everyone dead to right. She walks out. Everyone's just kind of standing there. Xander, of course, feels like absolute crap. Because now at this point, not only did he get Gwen involved, she's going to go to jail. His whole thing, sacrificing herself, was that way she wouldn't have to go to jail. So now she's going to jail. And he dragged Justin into it. And then he feels bad about that. Justin's like, listen, you have nothing, it's not so much that he have anything to feel bad about, but Justin was like, listen, I got myself into this mess. And he knew that it was an uphill battle for Bonnie in the first place. And he said that he acted out of fear. And if he was on this game, he would have probably suspected that the judge was going to be up to something. He was going to find some sort of way of getting out of it. But, this is what happens when, as he said, you operate on fear. So, Tran comes in, and she gets Justin to come out. Now you got Gwen and Xander sitting talking. And Xander, he feels bad about everything. Gwen feels bad about everything, just about getting him involved. I mean, everyone just feels bad. And at this point, well, everyone is screwed. So, then she comes back into the room. I'm sitting there thinking, all right, so we're gonna find out what she said to Justin? No, she comes back out and she gets Gwen. Now Xander is sitting there by himself, kicking himself. I'm sitting there thinking, man, maybe it just doesn't pay to be Xander's friend at this point, or his lawyer. Speaking of blackmail, well, we got Philip blackmailing Gabi. Pretty much the saying, you either hand me over your company, or Jake goes to jail. Whole time throughout most of this conversation, Gabi's like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think he's a bad person. She reads the file. She still doesn't believe it. Also, she thinks that, she suspects that Ava's behind it. Xander's like, listen, it doesn't matter how Philip was like, it doesn't matter how I got the information. I got the information. And if I don't hear back from you soon, well, I'm going to literally sit there and turn him over. Because apparently the file contains the fact that Jake murdered someone. No, it could have been accidental. You know, he did sit there and say he was an informant. He roughed up people for protection money. And this could have been one of those things where it just went too far. I mean, hell, he did tell Gabi that he was, you know, an enforcer. So, it's not that much of a stretch for Gabi not to sit there and believe what's in that file, even though she keeps saying, you know, she doesn't believe it. Meanwhile, you got Ava, and if anyone's wondering why I keep pausing it, it's because I keep blowing my nose, and I don't want anyone to see that, because that's, well, I'm just not going to really do that to anyone. Meanwhile, you got Ava, isn't it they're trying to talk to Jake about, well, actually Jake, isn't it they're trying to talk to Ava about some sort of peace or some sort of compromise? No, it's actually Ava. Some sort of peace, some sort of compromise. And Jake thinks back to the mob days about how he had two families that had to, you know, break bread, otherwise they're going to just both lose. And so, you know, they're like, you know what, listen, why don't I get Gabi together, you know, get Gabi and you, sit down, kind of break some bread, because at this point, it's not good for Rafe, it's hella stress on Jake, and it's good for no one. So, you know, they agree to sit there and try to come up with some sort of peace, some sort of compromise. Even though, you know, you got Ava that's pretty much plotting behind both of their backs. So, that's great. Sound like Christmas music. Anyway, before the episode ends, you got Gabi walking up to Jake furious, being like, you know, did you kill someone? You got Jake just kind of standing there with that look in his face, like that dumbfounded look on his face, like, what are you talking about? And the last scene is with Brady and Chloe. So, Brady asked Chloe to accompany him and his daughter on this little pumpkin run or whatever. You know, at first Chloe's like, you know, I gotta get to work and stuff like that. You know, I got stuff to do. And, you know, Brady, I felt like he laid on this sob story about how Kristen's gone and Marlena is not really feeling well. And, you know, I kind of need some female, you know, some female presence to kind of like fill in the void for Rachel. But if you don't want to go, I understand. And she's like, alright, fine, yeah, I'll go. And I'm like, bro, I felt like you just tried to use your daughter to, you know, spend time with her. And I'm like, I don't want to sit there and say he did that, because I know that he could be, well, something. But it's hard for me to believe that he would use his own daughter to spend more time with her, you know? Like, I mean, come on, he talks about a female presence or whatever, but I'm like, well, Marlena's at work a lot of times, she's not always home, and you don't always have access to Chloe, so to sit there and say, like, oh, well, you know, we could use a female presence, like, alright, bro, really? Anyway, she does agree to go, and so they do this whole pumpkin run, and for the majority of the time, you know, you got, Brady throwing cheap shots at Philip. There's one point where, you know, because Chloe wants to sit there and water the plant or whatever, and they're talking about the plant with Rachel. And, you know, Rachel's sitting there explaining to her about the tree and Uncle Philip and everything like that. And, of course, you know, Brady being Brady just had to sit there and throw some more cheap shots. So the minute that Rachel left, you know, Chloe was like, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep doing this for? And she finally got mad enough to the point where she's like, listen, you can't keep doing this, because this is affecting our friendship. And, you know, Brady does want to still have a good friendship with her, so he kind of like, you know, I guess concede or whatever and be like, yeah, listen, you know, Philip was kind of nice enough to sit there and invite me, you know, to the house, and he seems like he's kind of changing his ways and stuff. So he paid Philip a couple of compliments, you know, begrudgingly, and kind of realized that, you know, listen, I think he's changing up for you, and that's a good thing. So he kind of patches things up with Chloe, and, you know, Chloe kind of more or less accepts his apology and the hug, But of course, Philip is right around the corner, and just looking at the whole thing. And again, Gabi doesn't really seem like she has to do that much to gaslight Philip's jealousy, because it's pretty much been there from, well, since him and Brady has been going at each other to try to get her attention. I think that's about it for the most part. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section below. I think I kind of got through the majority of the episode, but you know, I always feel like I'm missing stuff here and there. So if I did, let me know. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.